This is all about self-acceptance. That's the most crucial thing to overcome guilt and shame, is self-acceptance. And by self-acceptance, relating to a point that Julia said before, it's not about accepting yourself in terms of other people's definition of you. It's self-acceptance about who you are as a soul and your purpose you come to the planet. It's about self-acceptance of your soul essence, going inside. So a really important aspect of overcoming shame and guilt is actually doing some sort of rituals on a regular basis to connect to yourself as a soul. And, you know, I've given those some of the previous talks, which I won't do today, but, you know, I can refer them to you if you guys want them. It's about, you know, I've done the eagle exercise, about being an eagle and flying above the earth. Or you can go down inside and be a whale and go down into the treasure chest on the bottom of the ocean, which is who you are. Or you can do meditations. I meditate regularly every day for at least half an hour, where I'm connecting to the deeper I of who I am, not just me as a human being, but me as a multidimensional being. And it's really accepting my life purpose, a bit what Elijah said before. It's really knowing, why am I here? Why am I on the planet? What is my purpose? It's accepting why you've come to the planet. Another important point about transmuting shame and guilt is understanding the law of attraction, which is a lot of people don't understand. And what I mean by that, the law of attraction says that what you put out to the world depends on your inner energy. Now, on our life journey, we always create experiences to learn from. And in that way, we actually don't do anything wrong. So guilt thinks we've done something wrong, but in a way, we just keep creating experiences to learn from. In that way, based on the law of attraction, we don't make mistakes. We just create experiences to learn. If you really understand the law of attraction, you actually will not actually judge yourself for whatever you've done in your life. You'll just say it's a learning experience. And in that way, you forgive yourself. Not forgive yourself in the way that I did something wrong, but just to let go of the belief that you did something wrong. Because remember, ultimately, it's all about having false beliefs about who you are. That's what's causing the shame. That's what's causing the shame and guilt, right? False beliefs of who you are. So anyway, I'm going to give you this exercise. I'm going to give you 2 exercises now to help you overcome guilt and shame. But the ultimate first one is you've got to connect to yourself on a daily basis, your deep essence of who you are. That's really important. Once you do that, you don't have guilt and shame. If you're really strong in who you are. That's number 1, right? Okay, number 2 is quite often our guilt and shame comes from when we're a child, right? Comes from being judged as a child. Trying to fit into this, as Elijah said, trying to fit into these limiting perceptions that our culture might have. Like, for instance, don't cry for a man, right? A lot of men in Australia won't cry because you're told, you're seen as weak, you're perceived as being weak if you cry, right? So a lot of men, when they're growing up, they say, don't cry, and it's a peer group pressure. So ultimately, a lot of these false beliefs about who you are come when you're a child. So one thing you've got to do to overcome shame and guilt is you've got to self-parent. You've got to know how to parent your inner child who's wounded, because it's your wounded child who has these false beliefs. A lot of these heavy emotions around not feeling good enough, feeling they did something wrong. So this is an exercise that I'm going to give you guys now, which I call the love sandwich. This is what I want you to do. I want you to put your right hand out in front of you. Now, let's put your right hand out, right? Now, your right hand represents your masculine energy. That's about you protection. It's like a protection energy. This is like the bottom of the sandwich, the bottom bread, right? Now, in this bottom hand, I want you to feel your strength as a power animal. This is one way to connect our strength. Have both of you guys got an animal that you feel is really strong? Eliza, what's an animal that you see as being strong?
Jaguar.
Jaguar, cool, excellent. Julia?
Yeah, that's Black Panther.
The Black Panther, cool.
Favorite.
Okay, so I want you to imagine feeling the strength of that jaguar or the Black Panther in your right hand. Feel that power, the strength. It's like the bottom of the sandwich. Now I want you to imagine that your inner child, which is like little Eliza or little Julia, is now on your hand, your right hand. And I want you to feel your inner child being protected by that jaguar or by the Black Panther. Just allow your inner child, your little girl, that wounded part of you who had shame and guilt from being judged when you were younger. I want you now to feel that strength of being protected by that power animal. Just really feel that on your hand. Okay, so now I want you to move your left hand, right? I want you to put your left hand on top of your right hand. This is like the top of the sandwich. And your left hand is your feminine side. This is the love from your heart. So I want you to send love from your heart to your left hand. And this is your feminine side of who you are. This is your mother energy, which is about nurturing. So I want your inner child is now in between your right and your left hands. So I want you to allow your inner child to feel protected by your power animal, the masculine energy, and at the same time to feel the nurturing of the feminine mother energy. I just want you to really feel your inner child in between this perfect mother and father for you, created by your energy. Just allow your inner child, your little girl who felt wounded, felt shame, felt guilt, to be looked after by this powerful power animal, the masculine energy, and to feel nurtured and cared for by the feminine mother energy in your left hand. Really feel it. Focus on allowing yourself to be your inner child and parented by the mother and father energy. Actually, what I want you to do now is I want you to move your hands to your heart. I want you to put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of your left hand. And I want you to imagine that your inner child now is inside your heart. And this is where you can be a safe place for your inner child to be. With your left hand on your heart and your right hand on top of your left hand. And now just for a minute or so, just allow yourself to feel your inner child feeling safe and nurtured and protected by the mother and father energy inside your heart. Okay, so now you can open your eyes. So let's just briefly ask you how you went. Eliza, how did that feel?
It was good.
Yeah? Good meaning what? Oh, you're different. You look different.
Feels as a practice which could be very useful to me.
Yeah. Self-parenting is a very, very powerful exercise, because quite often we judge our parents from the way we looked after us, but then we actually don't look after our own inner child. We tend to abandon them and reject them and suppress all their feelings, and we don't listen to them. Knowing how to parent your inner child is a really, really powerful thing to do to allow yourself to overcome shame and guilt. Because remember, your inner child went through all that experiences to help you learn so much about who you are today, right? Julia, how did you go?
It was really interesting, and some of my from my childhood, some of the phases or just kept coming up, like some I don't know, when I was like 1 year old, or when I was 7 years old, and I was, like just memories.
Yeah.
Come up. Yeah. And some kind of visualization. And
yeah. And that's cool, because in a minute we're going to give you a 3-step process how you can transmute an emotion. But actually, that's actually powerful that actually happened, Julia. Because actually, in a way, we do want our emotions to come up. It's not to suppress them. Because Julia, if those emotions do come up, those experiences surface, but you're in the space of having a protective father and mother energy, you can help that little Julia transmute them, because it's a safe environment. Because see, one thing we do is we tend to suppress this shame and guilt so deep inside because we don't want to feel it. But the more we suppress it, we're actually creating our world from that energy of shame and guilt. And as Eliza said before, that stops us creating our dreams. You've got a lot of shame, suppressed shame and guilt. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get triggered. You've got a lot of shame and guilt and you haven't dealt with it. It's going to be triggered, which could be in a relationship, right? Where you tend to sacrifice yourself in a relationship because you have shame of who you are, right? Or you feel guilty and invalidate your own needs, and therefore you tend to please other people. Just following the point that Eliza said, this can be a powerful exercise that you can do every day to nurture your inner child. And the more you do it, the more your inner child's going to feel safer. This is what the best thing you can do is actually to transmute them, not suppress them. Okay, so I call this exercise emotional mastery. This is how you can master your emotions. This is a 3-step process, right? And again, I'm going to take you through an exercise here. And then afterwards, if you want, I'll re-say the stages. I heard this question from Eliza. She sent me this thought, right? Is that I'll go through the 3 steps again afterwards so you can write them down. Is that cool? So when you go through this exercise, I don't want you to write it. I just will talk you through it. But then afterwards, I'm happy to go through it again for you to write it down. Is that cool? Okay. So I just want you to close your eyes. And I want you to connect to an experience from your childhood, or could be recently, where you felt guilt or shame. It doesn't have to be both, just could be one, or might be both. So some experience where you felt you did something wrong, you felt bad, or an experience where you felt you weren't good enough, or you felt there's something wrong with you. And we really want you to allow yourself to be in that experience, to feel that emotion. This is how we heal. We heal by feeling it. Now, we experience emotions for a reason. So I want you to really connect to the emotion you're feeling right now, the emotion of guilt or shame. And I want you to ask the emotion, why am I feeling this? Why am I feeling you right now? Why are you feeling guilty and shame? Why are you holding on to this false belief? Remember, that's what it is. Why are you holding on to this false belief about yourself? What's creating that? Just allow any thoughts come to you. Why are you feeling this emotion right now? So allow yourself to keep connected. And the third step is, I want you to now ask yourself, what's a new perception that you're going to have in this experience, which is more empowering and connecting you to who you are? So what's a new perception that you can have of yourself in this experience, which comes from accepting who you are? Okay, so open up your eyes. So first of all, I'll just go through it with both of you, see what went on, and then I'll get you to I'll enable you to write it down in a minute. So Julia, we'll do you first this time. So would you like to share the experience?
Well, for me, came up the day when my brother got a heart attack, and I was with him. And for a long time, I felt guilty because I thought it was my responsibility.
Did he die?
Sorry, a stroke, brain stroke he got.
Did he die at that time?
No, well, for some days it looked like, but then, you know, it was a long process. He's fine by now, but it was like years ago. But for a long time, I thought that it was my responsibility, although I knew by mind it wasn't. But I thought I should have taken more care or looked after. And as a sister-brother relation, I thought that, I don't know, it's my responsibility. Because I guess for every older sister or brother, they say, the parents, that you have to look after your, you know, the smaller, the younger brothers and sisters. And I think this is a really bad thing for any family, that when they are more or even just two brothers and sisters, parents are putting this in them, that you have to be responsible for your little ones or the younger ones. But this is not, it's not good. So I think that I felt guilt for a long time, and then I got trouble because of that.
So when you
when you
did
up.
So when you did this exercise, what came up in number 2 then? So when you said, "Why am I feeling this?" What came up for you? What you just
Yeah,
said.
that's my this answer came out that
Yeah.
I felt guilty because I thought that it was my responsibility.
Cool. So when you asked it, what's a new perception you could take? What did you come up with?
Sorry, come again.
The third point of that process was asking, what is the new perception that you can come up with, coming from your soul essence? Because remember that emotion of guilt and shame, from what we talked about earlier, is a false belief that it was your responsibility, right? So what's a more empowering thought that you could have, a more empowering perception?
Yeah, actually, it was just this that it wasn't my responsibility. It wasn't my fault, and maybe I should have addressed this to my parents at the time. So the way how I felt, so it would have been released by now or right away. So
Yeah.
I didn't. I carried this guilt for so long, and maybe I should have just addressed this.
Okay, so right now, how old were you?
Sorry?
How old were you when this happened?
I was 18, 19.
Okay, so I want you to close your eyes for a minute.
Okay.
We're going to help you release this, right? So I want you to be in that experience again when you're 18 or 19, feeling that guilt about your brother having the stroke. And now I want you to really imagine now, I want you to put your left hand and right hands together, like we did before. Your left hand on top of your right hand. And I want your Black Panther to be there. And I want you as an 18 or 19-year-old to be inside of your hands. So I want your 18, 19-year-old to be mothered by you and to be fathered by you. So remember, your left hand is your mother, your perfect mother, you, and I want you to allow your 18 and 19-year-old to be nurtured and protected. And now you're feeling that energy. I want you to send the thoughts that you wanted to tell your mum and dad at that time. I want you to give yourself permission to express to them and to validate what you are feeling. That's what you really want to do. You want to validate what you are feeling. Just send those thoughts to your mum and dad as an 18, 19-year-old Julia. How's that feeling? How's that feeling, Julia? Good?
Yeah, it's good. Like relief, maybe.
Relief, yeah. Okay, so open up your eyes. Yeah. So I feel the important answer for you, number 3, was you wanted to validate how you felt. Because once you validate how you feel, there is no shame and guilt. Did it feel good going back to that experience with your hands? Did it feel good to do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So practice that. I think that can be powerful for you to help you transmute some shame and guilt. Because if we're holding on to it, it's going to stop you in your life. And that's why, if you do that exercise and emotion comes up, like you said before, when we first did the exercise with the left hand and the right hand, you said emotions came up, experiences came up. Now you can transmute them. You can just allow yourself to feel them, ask you why you're feeling them, and what you need to do to let go of them, which in that particular case was to validate how you felt and send them to your mum and dad. That's what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah? Cool. So Elijah, how did you go?
Yeah, good. I just used the very recent memory of today when I felt guilt for taking my time to just sit with that feeling, with the guilt itself. It felt like a open wound.
Wow, yeah.
Very raw. And I just brought that memory back. And yeah, I could feel the rawness of it. And it just it was just for preparation for today.
So what did you, where did you connect it to it? What did you learn from that, feeling that raw emotion? What? Because every emotion is there for a reason. It's there to teach you something. What did that teach you?
Yeah, it's just a wound, which was created by others and myself, doing the same thing to myself, guilt tripping. And
So remember what we talked about before is that guilt and shame are caused by a false belief. So what was the false belief you're holding on to? As an example, if we go back to Julie's example, her false belief was that she couldn't express it to her parents. She couldn't validate what she was feeling.
I get it.
That was her false belief, which caused the shame and guilt, right? So what was the false belief? What was your false belief, Eliza?
Yeah, that I have to be productive.
Oh yeah, your body doesn't believe that.
Yeah, I have to be productive. I have to achieve something each day to prove more.
Oh yeah, that's a really false belief in our culture. You actually got to be in action. You got to be in action all the time. That's not true.
And bring the fruits and show the fruits to others that how much I achieved today. This is how much.
Yeah. That's the false belief you've got to let go of. So okay, in step 3 then, what's the new perception you can have? How can you replace that false belief coming from the real Eliza?
Coming from the real Eliza, I think it would be I am.
Cool. I am. So I want you to close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to go back to that experience when you're feeling that emotion. And I want you to now say to yourself, I am. And you say, I don't have to be productive, I just am. Say that. You don't have to say it loud, but just say it to yourself. I don't have to be productive, I just am. Oh my God, just feel the energy just released. Oh my God, that just released it so much. How do you feel now?
Yeah, good. I still feel some tension in my body, but I feel good that I have the courage to talk about it.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so let me down. I just want to now summarize those 3 steps so you can write them down. So the first step is you've got to feel the emotion. You've got to allow yourself to go into that experience and feel it. And when you do it with being in your left and right hands. Does that make sense? So in other words, have your right hand be a power animal, your left hand being the mother, and allow yourself, whatever experience you're in, to be inside your 2 hands, to be parented. Because that's going to make you feel safer to go back to the experience. Yep, is that cool? That's number 1, right? Now, step 2 is learning from the emotion. Because we feel an emotion for a reason, right? That's why we have emotions, right? So you've got to ask yourself, to learn, you've got to ask yourself, why am I feeling this emotion right now in this experience? why am I feeling this emotion? And then you say, what false belief am I holding on to about myself? So what false belief am I holding on to about myself? And then obviously the third point then is, what is an empowering belief or thought that I can replace this false belief? No? So what empowering thought or belief can I replace this false belief coming from my true, authentic essence? So for instance, for you, Elisa, that was you saying, I am. That was your essence. And see, when your essence, that's going to just empower your energy. This is like a form of soul retrieval. And so like for Julia, it was replacing that false belief that, oh, I can't validate my feelings and express it to my parents. But her real authentic self said, no, validate what you're feeling and just tell your parents what you're feeling. Because validation is a really important part of letting go of shame, guilt and shame, is to validate what you're feeling. So that little 7-year-old who was talking to that guy died 23 years ago or something, so she was being invalidated for feeling that. But when she came to me, I said, no, keep telling me more. She was telling me all about what he used to tell her. I was validating her, and now I said, no, you got to validate yourself. And I had to tell her mother to stop invalidating her. That was the whole session. So I told the mother that you're actually having this impact on your daughter because she does not quite sure how to handle it. So validation is a very important point. Now, the exciting news for that 7-year-old is that a few weeks later, she rang me up. She was actually in Perth, right? And she said all her allergies went away. She rang me up and she said, I had an ice cream today. That's the first thing she said. She said, Paul, I had an ice cream today. She hadn't been able to eat an ice cream. It was like, she was so excited. All her allergies went away because she got into her power to validate her own magic. Isn't that amazing? That was what she just wanted to validate her own magic. And I just want to share a little bit more about that session because it was a really amazing session. After I talked to her, I talked to her mother. And when I was talking to her mother, little Jody, the 7-year-old, I said, Jody, go and draw on the whiteboard. And because I had to challenge her mother about the way she's treating her daughter. You know what Jody drew on the whiteboard? She drew these 2 big, beautiful angels. And when her mum turned around to look at them, you know what Jody said to her mum? Jody said, Mum, Paul and I are angels. Isn't that amazing? She was the most amazing kid. Like, she was just so magical. Yeah. So I was just helping her validate her own magic. No, I said, you got to validate your magic. You are magical. Yeah. Because she thought she was crazy. It's an ultimate form of shame, right? She thought she was crazy because mum kept telling her she was crazy. I said, no, you're not crazy. I said, your mum's crazy. I said, you've come to the world to show your mum your magic and your mum's got to open up to it. And it's really cool because your mum did a lot of crying in the session, but that whole session was around to let go of her guilt and shame. And to know that for that 7-year-old has now changed her whole life. That's why I'm doing healing. Okay, so those 3 steps to do in conjunction with the self-parenting exercise can be techniques that you guys can go away with to help you overcome your guilt and shame. Because as we talked about in tonight, and about what Eliza said before, that it has a huge impact on stopping you creating what you want to create. Because if you've got guilt and shame inside of you, they can be triggered. And especially be triggered by narcissists. Yeah? Because narcissists love people who are in guilt and shame. Guilt and shame to a narcissist is a bit like blood to a shark. They smell it because they know they can control the shit out of you. You know what I mean? And get their power, and get whatever they want. Because all they do is keep throwing guilt and shame at you. Why didn't you do that? You're a bad person. You shouldn't have done that. You're crazy. So it is a very big manipulative tool used by narcissists to control people. That's why you've got to overcome it. Because if you don't overcome it, as I said, you're like blood to a shark. They will be attracted to you and they will take advantage of you for their own power. And it's not about them, it's about you. It's about getting into your own power. Because if you've got guilt and shame, you're not in your own power. That's why Jodie had all these allergies, because it was affecting her power chakra. She wasn't in her power. Because she had shame of her own natural abilities. Does that sound cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's finish off with, so what's the main thing you learnt tonight? And what's the biggest change you're going to make in your life after tonight? So we'll ask you first, Julia. What's the biggest thing you learnt tonight?
This exercise, I think it's going to be really useful for me.
Cool.
Keep straight in myself. These empowering feelings. Yeah. And yes, to stop validating or feeling that I have to validate myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-acceptance, I guess that's, yeah.
And I feel the important part of that is to actually connect to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to stop looking for validation from others is to be more in who you are. And that means I feel you've got to do some exercise every day about connecting to yourself. Connecting to the deep Julia. Who's Julia? What does she really want? Right. Sit on your throne of confidence as the queen of your world. And allow yourself to have what you want. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, very deep. Eliza, what's a big thing you learned tonight?
I think it was a confirmation or just another layer of just making sure that I go back to knowing who I am. Yeah. And trusting that and staying there. No matter what's around me, what judgment is happening, I know who I am.
That's really, really important. Because I got to, when I was doing healing, when I was learning healing, is when Lady Di died, right? And when Lady Di died, we watched, as part of the class, we watched various videos of Lady Di and to see how she was affected by other people. And I think one thing that Lady Di couldn't be, she couldn't hold her energy around what was going on around her, which is a lot of stuff around that royal family, right? But she couldn't hold her energy enough. Yeah, that's what affected her. Even though she was a strong woman, sometimes she was affected by what was going on around her. So you've got to know who you are. Because a lot of people, what a lot of people do is they get busy in life doing all the human things and they forget who they are at a deep level. No, you've got to connect to yourself at a deep level every single day. And then you've got to be able to bring that through in what you create. That's what Eckhart Tolle talks about a lot. He says, no, you've got to create from the deep essence of who you are. That's how you're going to manifest. And the more you do that, then guilt and shame aren't even going to come into the equation because you're coming from your self-acceptance. It's all about self-acceptance. But you've got to know who you are. And now that couple of exercises I gave you tonight are just some ways you can clear some past guilt and shame. See how it goes with those exercises. I'll be very excited to see how you go and letting go for guilt and shame.
Thank you so much, Paul.
It's my pleasure. It was great to see you again.